We've proven beyond shadow of a doubt that we can reverse osteoporosis, we can reverse osteopenia, we can fully bring back complete bone health simply by implementing a strength training program specific to strengthening the muscles, which will then strengthen the bones. Can I talk to you today about 3 completely different uses for strength training? Because a lot of people think, oh, well, I'm not going to be an athlete. I don't need to do strength training. Or I'm a cardio guy. I don't need to do strength training. Or whatever it is. I don't know. I don't want to get all big and muscly. I don't want to lift weights. And I'd like to just talk a little about that because actually I can see at least 3 distinct reasons for doing strength training and for doing weight training that, to be fair, I didn't fully understand even after 4 years of going through physical education training in college and then getting out and coaching sport for many years, and I still didn't fully grasp how all-encompassingly important strength training really was. So let's go with number 1 first. Since most people who do sport, do cardio type sports, whether it's swimming, running, cycling, rowing, this covers a fantastic number of people. And okay, that's their thing. It's a cardio thing. They don't want to do a strength sport because they don't want to get heavier. It's a strength to weight ratio. They want to go up the hills and be light. But it turns out that in order to do any of those activities, you have to push or pull with your legs or your arms or both. And in order to push or pull, if you're not strong, you can't push or pull as well. Functionality goes down. But more than that, if you only pull this hard, whatever this is, and that's as hard as you can pull, and for rowing you have to pull just a little less than your max, then you're working near your maximum, and it becomes very hard to sustain for any length of time. But if you were twice as strong and you still pulled at that same degree, you'd be pulling at about half of your maximum, in which case you could do way more repetitions, you could sustain your cardio for far longer, and when you needed to either show a burst or, in the case of running or cycling, some kind of an uphill spurt, you would have the strength required to do that as well. So for me, if I'm a cardio person and I want to get better at cardio, I would strongly recommend spending about 10% of your total training time in the week, in the month, in the year, whatever it is. I would put in about 10% of your total training time on some kind of strength program specific to the sports that you like to do, which usually means it's going to include deadlift, it might include some bench press, it might include some pulling, it might include squats of some front or back squats. So first of all, just to plain old get stronger, I've asked thousands of people over the course of the years, show of hands, how many people in the audience would like to be stronger 10 years from now? Almost every hand goes up. Some people are asleep in the audience, so they didn't raise their hand. But almost every hand goes up. We all want to be stronger, especially if it means we don't get bigger. So there's 2 kinds of training. There's training to get bigger, there's training to get stronger. They're different kinds of training. So for now, we're just talking about getting stronger. And then we go, how else might it help us to work with weights? Well, of all the conditions that we're seeing people develop over time, we know a lot of people get heart disease, but in vegans, it's almost unheard of to have heart problems. We know a lot of people have diabetes, but in low-fat raw vegans, the only thing we're going to see is a type 1 diabetes. We know heart disease, diabetes. We're down to cancer. And by the time you're a raw vegan, you've reduced the likelihood of cancer incredibly. So now what's going to happen? What could be a problem? What we still see happen is that a lot of raw vegans show weakness in the bones. They show loss of calcium, even if it was from when they were younger on a different diet, because calcium loss in the bones for most people starts in the teens or 20s. And then after that, it progresses at about 1% a year on a standard Western diet, but it can be 2 or 3 on occasion, depending on what the situation is, how far north you live, how much vitamin D, and a couple other issues, how active you are, what you do. For these people, we've proven beyond shadow of a doubt that we can reverse osteoporosis, we can reverse osteopenia, we can fully bring back complete bone health simply by implementing a strength training program specific to strengthening the muscles, which will then strengthen the bones. So now we've got athletes and we've got people who are developing, at risk of developing, or have already developed osteoporosis, and we can reverse that whole process around. And this covers most women and a surprisingly large percentage of men. Now we look at a third category. We go image. So it's not just performance enhancement, it's not just internally bringing back the bones, but there's also image. How do you look? Well, how you look is conveyed by several things. Number one, how you look is actually conveyed a lot by how you feel. If you feel confident because you're getting stronger, you're setting personal bests regularly, and you see yourself improving, confidence grows. If you can do things that you didn't used to be able to do, or you can do them better than you used to be able to do them because now you're stronger, confidence grows. We get an air of confidence around us. We stand up a little straighter, we hold our head a little higher. Good things happen when you get enough strength to be able to be self-sufficient. Yes, thank you, I can carry my own luggage. And so part of it is how we feel, and part of it is how we think of ourselves, which again is a positive thing when we're doing those things, setting PBs and doing the work to carry yourself with pride and to feel proud of yourself for the effort you're putting in. But the third thing is obviously visual. What is not just how you carry yourself. I'm not suggesting we should be posing, but also just what do you look like? Do you have shoulders or do you have no shoulders? I know in the 80s there was a fad for women's clothing of putting pads in the shoulders. I'm not suggesting we want shoulders out like that, but that fad, if you will, that style came into vogue because actually women look a little better with a bit of shoulder as opposed to none. And would we like to have shapely legs? Well, with no muscular development, there's not a lot of shapeliness past age 20 or so. You start to lose it. And where would you like to be just a little bigger? We can use weight training and strength training to get just a little bigger. I mean, if you get a little bigger here, it exaggerates this shape. If you get a little bigger here, it exaggerates the V. It makes you look taller when you carry your weight a little higher. So there's many ways from to all the little things, and you go, oh, what would you like to look like? Most people tell me they want better muscle definition. They'd like to see more definition. And again, this is going to come about through strength training as well as through size, or what we generally would call weight training. You can create this muscular definition. So for me, going through my evaluation of what's important to do, I've got to say, doing some strength training, learning how to do it right for the purpose you have in mind, whether it's simply for image enhancement, you want to look good, whether it's because you really want to feel good, because you can see into the future that you'd like to be stronger, because you want to improve your sports performance. I can't really come up with a reason why I wouldn't want to be doing some strength training. So I'm going to encourage you to get started. If you want to know more about it, I'm happy to answer your questions. I'm a strong supporter of strength training. However you choose to do it, I recommend that you do it. Dr. Graham reminding you to go to health.